The essence of self-realization, meditation, and inner peace is the awareness of infinite silence, our true essence. However, we've been conditioned into believing that all we are is the body-mind, and that belief results in a sense of separation from our true essence, and we have the experience of either living in the past or the future, and very little of our awareness is focused on what's truly here, now. The graphic here is a representation of meditation, self-realization, and inner peace. The central core line is about the awareness of infinite silence, eternity, timelessness, presence, now. And you'll also see a reference to the term event horizon, which you might know from physics, which is the point that's crossed when one is approaching a black hole and time appears to stop. And it's rather like that with self-realization, when one is so totally focused and centered in the awareness of silence. It does feel like a timeless, eternal presence that's within us and indeed is us. In contrast to that, when we are focused on the belief that all we are is the body-mind, we basically live in either the past or in some imagined future, and both of those are based on that sense of separation from our essence that creates suffering, because our happiness is based on some imagined set of events or future states where we will be happy, where things are the way that they are meant to be, as opposed to being simply, silently, and effortlessly aware. And then whatever's happening in life is simply unfolding in front of us, and we can simply, silently, and effortlessly accept that fact. Now in this second graphic, we take things a little bit further, because as we open to the awareness, silence, that is our true essence, there is the experience of a cost to the ego identity, the belief that all we are is the body-mind. Because to truly open to the realization of the self and the peace of the heart space of silence, a number of key things that have to happen. One is the humility and willingness to let go of all our beliefs, to accept that we actually, truly know nothing about what life really is, a total acceptance of what's here. And then finally, that life is death. And I don't mean death of the body-mind, I mean death of the belief in the case of mistaken identity. And when we truly accept this, it is then that the suffering that comes from the beliefs, that dissolves, and we open to the presence, the awareness of infinite silence. Now, there are many resources available to assist you on this journey to the awareness of infinite silence, to inner peace. You may be watching this video on YouTube or on the Living Soul app. I'm just going to give you one example here of the resources available freely, and that's on Insight Timer and the Ask Philip bot, which is available via my website. On Insight Timer, there's a full audio self-realization program that's available that takes you on a complete journey in 1.5 hour long sessions, and there are many audios that do that, and those are supported by a series of 7 infinite silence meditations. The Ask Philip bot is an AI tool that draws upon thousands of files over years of sharing that will answer your questions 24/7, anytime, any place. You simply need to download the app from the app stores. It's free to do, and the resources, if you go to my profile and join the group Nothing Special with Philip Wade, you'll find the simplest ways to access those self-realization programs and meditations. And as I say, the bot is available via my website. Now you can see on the right hand side a graphic where I've depicted essentially what's available on the app. And it's basically split into 10 core areas or categories on the app, from a start here with some core principles through to full self-realization programs, a meditation journey, the community sharing principles, topics, interviews, and so forth. And you can see that each one of those categories has a core key word that's associated with it. And on the app, each one of those is explored in great depth, and it's all about opening you to the awareness of infinite silence and dissolving the belief in the case of mistaken identity. Now, whether you feel called to what's available on the left-hand side of the diagram, which is totally freely available, or perhaps to the app, which is available currently at around about £4 per week for an annual subscription, is really up to you. What does your heart call you to? It may be neither of these as well, and that's okay. The key thing is really, what does your heart call you to? What's important to recognize, irrespective of the route that feels right for you, is that ultimately inner peace is freely available to the heart. It doesn't have a monetary value associated with it. These resources are all about you recognizing and realizing that experientially. And that's the key about making it experiential in your life. Now, whichever route you go down, one thing that I've seen over 13 years of sharing now is that it really requires a total commitment to do your heart's calling. It's not really a half-hearted thing. You really need to make this a priority in your life. And what I've found is that if you do that and you're open and you're humble enough and willing enough to embrace that, then you really can realize the self in this lifetime. What I found with sharing a lot of events and online things freely is that there was a tendency for people to have less commitment. Let me give you an example of that. In the many free events in the last 48 hours before the event started, there would be anything between 50 and 70% cancellations. However, when there was even a small donation of £10 to book the event, that stopped in its tracks. Everybody turned up. So whichever route you go down, whether you want to use the freely available resources only, or you feel called to join the app, or some other route, the key point I want to get across to you here is that commitment is key to keep following your heart's calling. Your heart is calling you home here, now. Listen carefully, see what it says to you. If you feel inspired, uplifted, invited, expansive by any of these options, then you can follow that because it's coming from your heart. If, on the other hand, you've got a very contracting must, should, ought to, dense energy, doubting energy, and so forth, then you can be sure that this is head stuff. There is a big distinction between the two. So the one that you can truly trust is the one that's uplifting, inviting, inspiring. And if some of that other stuff comes, then there are ways of looking at that from the space of awareness and silence that are addressed in any of the resources I have available. A key to finally remember is this: in silence, you will realize your truth. In truth, you will realize you are silence. I send you many blessings and wish you well on the journey.